great teacher. But First Nations say Ottawa hasn't learned a thing from its own. Decades after Canada took Aboriginal children from their families, they say government discrimination is now taking even more kids away. Today, a human rights tribunal began hearing their claim, despite attempts to keep that case closed. CTV's Danielle Hamamdjian has the story.
There is no shortage of numbers illustrating the disparity. There is a 22% gap between funding for child welfare services on reserves and anywhere else in Canada. But what those numbers mean, First Nations leaders say, is their children are more likely to be removed from their families, sometimes communities. Changing that, they say, requires will. Will to no longer fall back on the excuse it's a problem too complex to address.
I want to make very clear. The patterns that we've seen in the residential school are being perpetuated again in child welfare. And the relationship requires fundamental transformation.
It has taken years, in a sense decades, for Canada's Human Rights Tribunal to hear this case. First Nations groups versus the government. On trial, Dr. Cindy Blackstock says, for racial discrimination against Aboriginal children.
I've seen so many children as I drive them back to the office because I have not a foster home to go to, that they're crying in the back seat and I cannot even turn around to comfort them.
The government argues it has increased funding to $600 million a year. It has also and continues to try to have the complaint dismissed.
And the best way to ensure that First Nation children and families get the support and services they need is by working together.
An estimated 27,000 Aboriginal children are in foster care. Today, a story of survival.
What about the families
of a deputy grand chief who almost lost a niece,
who do not have that opportunity?
National Chief Sean Atleo says discrimination may not be as explicit as it was decades ago, but the result is the same: families falling apart. The hearings will continue over the course of the next 14 weeks. Lisa.
Okay, Danielle Hamamdjian in the nation's capital tonight. More tonight.